Hello and welcome to Newscentre. With me, Parikshit Luthra. Testing times for the electric vehicle ecosystem. We have been seeing a probe against 13 EV players continue since May last year. And this has led to holding up of at least 1,200 crore in subsidies for 13 EV companies. This includes the likes of Hero Electric and Okinawa, which the government is also probing for alleged misappropriation of subsidies. And subsidies for these two companies have been suspended till the time the probe is over. At the same time, there are four other EV players like TVS, Hero MotoCorp, Ola and Ather, against whom there is a whistleblower complaint about overpricing, about selling vehicles over the 1.5 lakh price limit under FAME and still availing subsidies. So those are under investigation at this juncture. Those subsidies have been held up since early March this year. Now, what will be the impact on these companies? Well, industry sources tell us that so far there is no impact, but in case subsidies continue to be held up, then there could be a softening of demand. And then again, there is a big question for the EV industry. What happens to EV sales when the FAME scheme comes to an end in March 2024? We're told by government sources that at this juncture, as of now, there is no proposal under consideration to extend the FAME subsidy beyond March 2024. And this, many believe, could be a blow to EV industry because they will have to absorb that subsidy costs. Let me take this forward with Ashim Khurana of Nomura, Sohinder Gill, CEO at Hero Electric and Director General at the Society of Manufacturers of Electric Vehicles. And we also have Shamsher Diwan, Vice President at ICRA. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Sohinder Gill, if I can begin with you. What is your big worry right now? We have seen a drop in sales for Hero Electric and Okinawa in March compared to March last year. Do you believe that next few months could be challenging for EV companies? We believe that we've lost that link with Sohinder Gill. We'll get him back in just a bit. But Shamsher Diwan, coming to you, do you feel that next few months could be challenging for the EV industry?
I think if you, Parikshit, look at the electric two-wheeler sales volumes for fiscal 23 compared to, let's say, fiscal 22, the volumes have gone up by almost 3 times, And in terms of the overall penetration, the monthly average is now about at 6.5% of the overall two-wheeler market. If you look at the run rate as well, in quarter one, the industry was doing close to about 42,000 units on an average. That increased to about 48,000 in the second quarter. But, during the festive season, which is the Q3, the number was close to about 72,000, a month. And that's kind of flattened out in the Q4 as well. So certainly, I think there is some impact which is visible because of, the changing product mix in the overall market. I think the share of higher performance vehicles has continued to increase because some of the other players have not been able to get, the FAME 2 subsidy for a fairly long period of time. You mentioned also about, what is likely the impact of FAME subsidies not coming in. What we have observed is that because roughly the FAME subsidy per vehicle is close to 45 to 50,000 per piece, and that adds to a lot of working capital blockage for electric two-wheeler OEMs. Herein also, I think you also need to make a note of the fact that, because many components for the auto components are, priced at a GST of 18% or more, and vehicles are priced at about 5%. So there is an inward duty structure as well for the industry, which further adds to, the working capital blockage. So those are some of the issues that, the electric two-wheeler OEMs are facing, besides somewhat subdued sales trend.
Right. Let me go across to Ashim Khurana at this point. Ashim, what do you believe will be the challenges for the EV industry going forward? We're getting to know from our sources that if this stop to subsidies continues, then there could be further softening of demand because companies will have to absorb this subsidy cost and also pass it on to customers.
Yes, definitely, Parikshit. Given how price sensitive the Indian market is, and in particular in the 2- and 3-wheeler segment that we are talking about, naturally, if the prices go up for consumers, there will be a lowering of demand commensurate with that. Having said that, while we can't say what is going to be the end result of the investigation, but we do see that if these subsidies have been in place, they have to some extent been used to build up capacity and capability in the country, which in the long run should help reduce prices of vehicles. Of course, the subsidies increasing the returns of those investments in the initial years by increasing the demand against those investments that are made.
Right. Ashim Sharma, thank you for those views. I'll just come back to you. Let me get in Sohinder Singh Gill as well. Mr. Gill, we saw a drop in sales for Hero Electric in Okinawa in the month of March. On a year-on-year basis, the sales came down by about 45 to 48%. Would this be the result of the subsidies which you've not got for the last 8 to 9 months? Or do you believe the EV industry will be able to ride out the storm? The SMEV has also said that there has been a shortfall by at least 25% over and above the Niti Aayog targets. So what do you think has been the impact? What more could the industry have done if these subsidies had been there?
Yeah, thank you. Well, you're right. And this 25% is going to be much more in the coming year if the state continues. And you're right in saying that because of not 8 to 12 months, but 15 months, the subsidies have been stalled and the total is coming to around 600 crores each for both of us. And in addition, the banks have also withdrawn their support because this is taken as a bad debt now, like a thing which is unrecoverable, leading to around 1,000 crore worth of lack of working capital, which is a huge hit on many organizations. And lately, in last 1 month, a similar action has started with 14 other organizations, which means 100% of the industry, where show cause notices have been given. It's a matter of time that everybody will be in the same bucket.
Right. When it comes to continuation of companies, do you think with this kind of condition where banks are withdrawing support, you're not getting subsidies? You're saying Hero Electric and Okinawa have 600 crores each in subsidies due to them. How difficult does it become for companies to continue operations, Mr. Gill?
Well, it's almost impossible, but even now, the way we have sustained through all this rough weather, even now, it doesn't look to be a big problem, because if you look into it, actually, it is just sitting across the table and understanding the issue from practicality point of view, which is now beginning to sink in because 100% of the players have the same issue. In fact, 4 of them that you have named have 2 issues. One is of localization delays and second is of that 150,000 breaching the target. So complicated issues. So if the issue is industry-wide, it is a question of only industry sitting with MHI and assuming that MHI has the authority and flexibility to solve it, it is easily solvable and it could be a one-time problem. Because if you see, in the last 6 months or so, otherwise supply chain has come in full place now. And many vendors are queuing up for localization. And the new vendors are on board for everybody, including, for example, Hero. We have the best of the lot of Nidec Japan in India and Bosch and everybody supplying us. So those products also have not been given subsidies. So 2 things are required. The new products must be started and the old one-time resolution should happen. I believe it is easily doable. It's not such a big issue. Keeping in mind the larger perspective of the electric mobility getting totally derailed otherwise, or otherwise seeing it as a practical issue from point of view of non-availability of supply chain during those times in 2019, when the volumes was 25,000, further hit by COVID for 2 years.
Right. Right. Ashim Sharma, coming to you, with at least 4 companies, we're talking about TVS Motor Company, Ola, Ather and Hero Motorcorp. Their subsidies were stopped in March 2023 because the government got complaints that they were selling scooters which actually cost more than 1.5 lakhs and availing of the subsidy, which is 40% of the vehicle cost. These companies are saying they were not factoring the cost of the charger, certain software upgrades, certain software features. Now what has happened? Yes, the companies are in touch with the government, but the likes of Ather, they have gone ahead and somehow reviewed their portfolio. They've slashed prices of their top variant to 1.45 lakhs. They've introduced a base variant under 1.10 lakhs. Now, if companies have to do that, does that impact sales in any way?
See, I think there are 2 points to that. One is, when this price was being breached, this 150,000 rupee mark that you are seeing, that's also in part because about 45% of the cost of the vehicle is made up of the cost of the battery. And we know about the kind of rally in the lithium prices, etc., that had happened, which naturally meant the batteries got costlier and therefore also contributed in some part to the pricing increases. Now, coming to the second part where you're saying now companies are trying to slash the price below that 150,000 mark and offering something, that could be done only 2 ways. One is you cut down on certain features, etc., or you're able to value engineer your product. The third and the most undesirable one is that you sort of either operate at a negative or a minimalistic contribution margin, which naturally is not sustainable for a company in the long run. But of course, lower prices would, and if they are able to get the subsidies, naturally the consumers would like to lap up those products as long as the features are not curtailed to a large extent because of the price getting lowered.
Right. Shamshed Diwan, coming back to you, do you feel that the industry will be able to manage without subsidies after March 2024? Look at this right now. A scooter, electric two-wheeler manufacturer can get a subsidy up to 60,000 rupees. Electric car manufacturer can get a subsidy of 1.5 lakhs if this is for shared mobility. A three-wheeler, you can get a subsidy of 50,000 rupees if this is an electric vehicle, or an electric bus, you can get a subsidy of 40,000 of the vehicle cost. Now, if you remove these subsidies, will the EV adoption continue at the same pace? There are 2 views in the government. One, there has been a lot of issue, a lot of misappropriation of subsidies, a lot of things have gone wrong. And number 2, they feel that electric vehicles have reached an inflection point, and especially in cars and two-wheelers, you don't need that support anymore, and even in three-wheelers.
Right. So, Parikshit, as per our estimates, if you look at the overall total cost of ownership, which includes the running cost as well as the battery replacement cost after certain interval. What we feel is that with FAME subsidy and without any additional state subsidies coming in, the payback period reduced to about 3 years for electric two-wheeler segment. But if you take away the subsidies, the FAME subsidies as well, the payback period increases to about 5 to 6 year period. Now, what we feel is that if post fiscal 2024. If the subsidies have to completely go away, we believe that a large part of the cost will have to be, borne by the OEMs to some extent, and they may not be able to completely pass on the increase to the customers. In that regard, what will happen is that while the impact on volumes may get softened a bit in terms of the demand contraction, but at the same time, the profitability, the road to profitability for these OEMs will get deferred, simply because of the fact that they're all operating at currently suboptimal volumes. They're investing significantly in R&D, their marketing, and they have significant corporate overheads. So as a result of that, the extent of profitability which could have perhaps come in if FAME2 subsidies had to continue would get deferred.
Right. Frankly, the point is that most EV companies are yet to break even. They're not making a profit right now, and that path to breaking even to profitability will get even longer. Shamshed Diwan, Ashim Sharma, Sohinder Singh Gill, thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18, giving us your view on where the EV industry stands without subsidies because of those investigations, and at the same time, what may happen beyond March 2024. We're getting to know from sources that at this juncture, there is no proposal to extend FAME. We're going to take a break right now on Newscentre, but when we return, we look at India's private equity and VC investment space. That's crossing the $60 billion mark with Ronika Sapra, associate partner at Bain & Company. Stay tuned.